Hello and welcome back to TNWKS, the Now We Know show, the show where we discuss a topic of interest and by the end we will have learned something new and hopefully you will too. I'm Zak.
And I'm Buzz. And in the studio, once again, we have the wonderful Indiana June. Hello, June.
Hello, Buzz.
And we're going to be taking another journey into the amazing world of Indiana June's World of Adventures. And in this episode, we're going to be finding out all about Turkey.
If you enjoy the Now We Know show podcast, support Zak Wylde Productions on Patreon or join our members on YouTube for early access, ad-free content and exclusive episodes.
So here we are, back in the Dungeon Studio, and we have June with us.
Yeah, for the first time this year.
AKA Indiana June. And you have been all over the world. You've been from North America to South America to the Far East to even down under into New Zealand.
And up north.
Up north to the
everywhere.
The Arctic
everywhere.
Circle.
She has
Exactly.
officially been everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere. And you're going to be telling us shortly all about your expedition to Turkey.
Yes.
So before we start talking about Turkey, we're going to do our usual segment of Weird and Wonderful. And whose Weird and Wonderful story is it this week?
I have a feeling it might be something to do with you.
It is. I've got one. You're going to like this one. So this week's Weird and Wonderful is Shopper reckons this packet of chicken looks like E.T.
That's not
dear.
news.
A shopper has gone viral after sharing a packet of chicken breasts from a food aisle which bears an uncanny resemblance to E.T. the extraterrestrial.
That is not what that looks like. That looks like something rather unsightly that is not suitable for public, public appearance.
Can I see?
I'll show you in a moment, Jude. The friendly extraterrestrial was spotted in
ridiculous.
in a sealed packet of sealed chicken breasts, which shopper Melissa Mendez quickly snapped up for a photo and which she shared on the internet. Okay, there we go. There it is. Does that look like E.T.?
It does not look. It looks like something
It
really
looks
peculiar.
like a what's that big monkey?
King Kong?
Without any fur.
A big monkey without any fur. I don't know.
An orangutan.
An orangutan. They do have fur.
Yeah, I know, but it hasn't got any on.
No, because it's chicken.
Anyway.
It doesn't look like E.T.
It's a very bizarre.
Anyway.
Have you ever seen that meme with E.T. on a barbecue?
I think I have, yes.
Yeah,
It's a bit
that
sad.
doesn't look like that at all.
No.
it looks
Anyway, for
very-
those people who don't know, E.T. is the lovable alien in the 1982 E.T. movie that follows the 10-year-old protagonist Elliot Taylor befriending him and helping the alien get back home. This movie is a cult classic and is still beloved by many across the world and is clearly proven this by all the hilarious comments accompanying this image of the E.T. packet of chicken.
Is that news? I don't know. It's certainly weird.
Well, Melissa Mendez posted the picture on Facebook as an optical illusion and captured it, "Changed my mind." Because it's meant to look like E.T.
I think that's because you want to see E.T.
I don't know.
That looks rather unsightly, to be honest.
It's a bit bizarre, isn't it?
I don't even
it's
want
the
to tweet
nose.
it.
It's the
Anyway,
nose.
if you want to, listeners, if you want to find out what this packet of chicken looks like, please just Google it. E.T. I don't know, chicken. And
Chicken
see what
E.T..
happens. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I thought it was pretty weird and wonderful.
It is pretty
You
weird.
don't expect to go in the supermarket and find a E.T. in your packet of chicken. Anyway, before we move on, actually, you've just reminded me, I do want to do a quick update from last week's podcast.
Oh yeah, and that was where we were
because
talking about the Odysseus mission,
The
wasn't it?
Odysseus mission to the moon. And yes, it landed.
That's good.
Huzzah!
That's good.
Unfortunately, it landed on
On
the
its
side.
side.
Oh,
yeah.
They reckon it's maybe leaning against a rock, that it might be slightly elevated at an angle.
Right.
But it went in a bit too fast.
And they didn't have the eagle eye
camera.
didn't
They
deploy.
decided at the last moment, because I think there was some error in the guidance system, and so they suddenly switched over to the experimental guidance system
It's
that they were
whispering
using
back.
for. Oh, it is whispering back. They needed to switch over the guidance system to the experimental one, and they believe that. So we didn't get the footage of it landing.
Yeah.
But it went down supposedly about 6 miles an hour vertically and 2 miles an hour horizontally. And they reckon one of the landing feet might have caught something and that tipped it over.
Perhaps an alien's got it.
I don't know, maybe it's a packet of chicken.
It could be-
chicken ET.
It could be Moonite.
It's Moonite, that's it. So anyway, the poor old lander, it got there, great. It is on its side, but it is working.
I mean, how functional can that actually really be?
I don't know. We're going to find out. But also, interesting enough, you did mention last week about the Japanese lander
Oh, yeah.
that landed upside down.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, that's actually been through the nighttime cycle of the moon now, and it's just woken up again
Hey.
because that's starting to send some signals back.
That's
Again,
good.
I don't know
I've
what it's
not
going to do
been
upside
there
down.
yet. Do they
Yeah.
do trips to the moon?
Well,
Working on it.
Well, they are working on it, June. So
Oh.
you can certainly follow in the footsteps
Yeah, I
of
shall have to look
Captain
into
Kirk
that.
William Shatner
Yeah.
and go into orbit if you
That'd
fancy
be
doing
really
that.
cool. First podcast in
Maybe,
space.
maybe we should campaign, get a GoFundMe or something for
Yeah.
Indiana June to go into space.
Yeah,
You
let's
know?
do it.
Because that'd be great. Because I mean, you said you want to do something. You're nearly 88, so let's
Well,
get you
yeah,
into
give it
orbit.
another week.
Get you into orbit.
Well, yeah. I don't know if I can go on that zip line. That's what
No,
I'd
you
like
want
to
to
do.
do the zip line. I don't think this, the going on the zip
It's
line,
the
the
age.
world's longest zip line, is a problem.
It's
That's
the
not a
age.
problem. It's probably the stopping is
Yeah.
the problem.
It's not a very
I mean,
gradual process,
I've been
is it?
on lots of zip lines.
I
and
have.
Either
It's very jolty.
it whips you at the end,
Yeah.
or you end up face down in a load of mud.
Oh dear.
So I don't know.
Face down.
but-
Really, that's you've done that very wrong.
Well, you know when you're like hanging,
Yeah.
and then your feet hit the ground,
And then
you
you
suddenly
go
find
flop.
that the line suddenly gets really low, and it's like, oh, now my feet are dragging, now my knees are in it, and then I'll let go.
Oh dear. That's rather putting me off.
But don't worry, Jim.
Don't listen to Buzz.
Because a lot of the time
Don't
they
listen to
strap you
Buzz.
to it so that you can't escape.
Yeah, full body harness.
That's it.
We'll have
Maybe
to
you
look
should
into
revert
it.
back to going to the moon, going back into orbit. That would be
Yeah.
really
Yes,
good.
well-
Anyway, Jude, without talking about further adventures of moon landings and such like that you might want to do in the future, let's talk about your amazing adventure to Turkey.
Well, it all started when I was on a shopping expedition in Hitchin.
Right? Okay.
And I'm waiting at
I just
the...
imagine you with a backpack and you've
No,
got your
no,
walking
no.
staffs, you've got your
I-
snowshoes on in
I was
Hitchin. I'm
waiting
on an
for the bus
expedition.
to go home when a bus drew past on the other side of the road saying, why not go to Turkey?
Oh, did you hear speak to you?
No, well, I'd never been to Turkey, so when I got home, I was on the phone ringing for a brochure,
Yeah.
had a good look at that, and decided to go on the 3-week expedition.
Oh, well, we like
touring,
expeditions.
yes, I like expeditions, touring round Turkey.
Far better than just sitting on a beach.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
I'm not a
Burning.
I'm
Burning,
not.
for
I'm
no
not
good
a beach
reason.
person, and it was exploring all round.
Right, so,
So off we went to London.
okay.
Got on the plane.
Was that Heathrow, was it?
I think it was Heathrow. It's some years
Flew
ago.
out to Turkey.
Flew out to Turkey. Met the guide, who was an architect. He was doing a touring, looking after people for the summer holidays.
Right, okay.
He was very
Because
knowledgeable.
I also, again, to recap for the listeners, this one of the amazing things is, June, that you have travelled the world as a single lady by
Yes.
yourself. So this is another trip where
I
you
was on my
on
own.
your own?
I was the only single lady on the coach.
makes me think of a Beyonce record then.
Well,
was it?
All the
Single
single ladies,
ladies,
all
all
the
the
single
single
ladies,
ladies,
all the single ladies, put your hands up.
Whoa.
Whoa.
There you go.
No, they were
You're
nearly,
doing it for the single ladies, Mum.
nearly all couples. So I was the only single lady there.
Go for it.
I didn't
So we
expect to go into that
arrived-
musical tune.
We arrived at the hotel, had our meal, went to bed, and in the morning we had started to go on a
Right.
tour.
So we're now
We're
in Turkey.
now in Istanbul.
Istanbul.
Yes, we're in Istanbul, and we started off going to the Blue Mosque,
Okay.
and
Is that the really famous one?
that's the bit really.
That's got
you ha-
Viking runes.
You have to take your
scratched into
shoes
it.
off and walk round in it, and I managed to lose my umbrella in there
Oh dear.
Oh,
Well,
how do you
well-
manage that?
because I was walking in with stocking feet on, and it slipped out of its cover,
Oh, right.
and it was quite darkly in there. So
That's the one that's got the upper gallery, isn't it?
yeah, we didn't go upstairs.
Right,
We
'cause
were
I'm
only allowed
sure
downstairs.
that's the one that's got Vikings when they used to
Yeah, maybe.
trade down the Mediterranean all the way around
And
to
then,
Turkey.
then
and
we went to
Istanbul.
another one, the Hague Sophia, which is, and then we went to the Topkapi Palace.
The Topkapi Palace.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, I mean, there's even a film about people trying to rob the Topkapi Palace, but they've got big daggers covered in diamonds and rubies and things, and all sorts of other jewellery. And then we went on a tour of the palace and saw all the strange clothes with magical things on them, drawings, magical symbols all over these.
How did that make you feel, seeing all these funky things?
I thought that was. I said to the guide, he said, yes, they were right into a lot of magic and things. Then when they had all these things.
Do you believe in what he just said?
Well, who knows? All these symbols were on the trousers and the tops and the things. They've got really weird clothes, but I say the jewellery was lovely. We had a good look all around the castle. And then we went on a cruise on the Bosphorus, which is, Istanbul is on, say, the left-hand side. You cross the water and there's villages over on the other side. And then went on to the battlefields at Gallipoli, walked along the top of the trenches, the things where Florence Nightingale and all the others were over there.
Was this from one of the World Wars?
From the First World War, yes. Of course, the Russians have now taken over Gallipoli now. I don't know whether you can still go there, but that sort of finished the day off.
So this is just day one?
Yes, that was rather a bit busy day.
Crikey.
It was crikey.
Whistle-stop tour?
Yes. And then off we went back home, and off we went on the caravan trails. Now, we don't know where they used to take things almost along the Silk Road.
Yeah, so when you're talking caravan trails, we're not talking about somebody dragging the latest...
these are camels with...
6-berth caravan behind his Volvo on the way on holiday. These are the big camel trains.
Classic.
Camel trains. Heading all the way across from India.
So all these, and going up to Iran and Iraq and whatever, different places. And it was sort of like an old-fashioned way of the motorways. It had these big buildings, I can't pronounce a caravanserai or something, but
is that where the camels were?
They could stop overnight. They were sort of about 20 to 30 miles in between, and plenty of room for stabling the camels and the horses, and for their drivers to stop, and like little villages that you could buy different things. And they are so fond of cats in Turkey. There's cats and kittens everywhere.
I know somebody who liked that.
Tina would have loved that.
So while you were there, did you get the opportunity to go on a camel?
No, I did that in Tunisia.
You have been on a camel?
I have, when I went to Tunisia with my sister, yes. But, yes, she was rather a nervous person and thought they were going to run away with her shoes or kidnap her.
Oh dear.
A camel kidnapping.
Yes. They've got my shoes. No.
Yes.
Bring me my shoes back.
No,
your shoes are mine.
She thought
camels can talk.
They can now.
No, they spit a lot. But...
They spit like, your shoes are mine.
Spit in your general direction.
You silly English Connecticut.
We're on our way along, like I say, the motorways, but they go through all sorts of different places with ruins and little villages and different things. There was one rather embarrassing moment.
Okay,
we stopped
at
a little village to look at some ancient paintings. And they were very nice.
Where were these paintings? Just
on the walls.
What were the paintings
of religious pictures, because people weren't able to read or do anything very much, so they read the pictures. If you see what I mean, they could read the stories from the Bible.
Outside of the houses?
No, this was on a little church on one side of the road, and I really needed to go to the toilet.
Okay.
Back to the toilet stories already.
Back to the toilet stories. Okay. Well, so there you were in Turkey,
in the middle of nowhere.
And
this little village. And I said, "Is there a toilet?" And they said, "Yes, there's that little hut there. It said toilet on it."
Okay.
It was more like a gardening shed.
Okay. Okay. Was this in the village then?
Just before you got into the village. So I went in, shut the door.
You don't have to go into details
No,
at this
we
point.
didn't.
I
No.
took my trousers off.
Yes, and they stole my shoes.
You thought you escaped
Well,
me.
Me,
I
I
thought-
have your shoes.
Well, Lady Smith was relieved. No, I went to come out, and the door handle came off,
Oh no.
and I dropped it, and it was rather gloomy in there, and the bit that the handle joined onto it fell off on the outside.
So you were trapped.
I was
Stuck
trapped.
stuck in the shed.
I was stuck.
Help!
I'm
I'm stuck in
banging
the
on,
toilet.
banging on the door and shouting help, help, help for about 10 minutes. And eventually this lady said, "Are you all right in there?" "No, please, can you get somebody to help me? I can't get out of the toilet."
Oh dear.
And eventually she must have got somebody to go to the village, or she went and came back with a man with perhaps a screwdriver and a hammer or something. And eventually they let me out, and the coach was waiting outside, and they all clapped and shouted,
Got a
"Hooray!"
big round of
It
applause.
was
So they didn't leave you then.
no, it was very, very embarrassing. And I was
well, there you
much more careful where I went to the toilet after that.
What a relief.
Yeah,
Quite literally.
well, I was relieved, but it was very embarrassing. But we carried on and went on, and I said we've been to Gallipoli over there, and then we went on to Kanakali, which is Troy.
Ah,
You've
Oh.
heard of Troy?
of course, Helen of Troy.
I've seen the movie.
They've got a great big replica
of
of
the
the
Trojan horse.
Trojan. I've got
Wow.
I've got a little one.
That's really cool.
Yes.
Does it actually look like a horse?
It looks like the pictures that I've seen in books. You know, like a wooden. Yeah, it's got a big head like a horse and a wooden body and big.
Not a rabbit.
Not the rabbit
not
from
a-
Monty Python. That was what I
no,
was going to get to.
And it's quite big. So
It'd
I've-
have to be. It's meant to have taken a battalion of Trojan soldiers in it.
Yeah. So we saw that, and we saw some other little.
That's where the term "beware Greeks bearing gifts" comes
Yes.
from.
It is.
yes.
It is.
Yeah.
It's at that point we then jump out of
Out of
the
the
rabbit. and then take them all by surprise in the night.
So we
We're not
went
in the
on
rabbit.
saw
Not
various.
the rabbit. The rabbit's already got them.
You
So this is
idiot.
it's not actually in order that I went, because I can't quite remember because it's a few years ago. But we went on to Pamakuli, or Pamak, yeah, where they have hot springs and you can go swimming. But we were a bit late, so they said no, we couldn't go swimming. So we had to look at them and the pretty gardens that were all round them.
Did you at least dip your feet in at all?
No, no, I didn't. But it was lots and lots of walking about and doing different things. And then,
Can I nip Buzz back to Troy?
yeah,
Was there any kind of ruins of Troy?
well, little bits and pieces, but nothing sort of.
Right, nothing major.
Now, how
No.
large was the horse?
Quite big. You've got to look up at it. I mean, you know, I don't know how long it took the original people to, but if they built it overnight, they must have gone very quickly. But
Yeah.
yes, if you've seen pictures in books, that's just exactly what it's like. And I've got a little one at home.
Right, okay. Anyway, sorry to interrupt there.
Yeah,
I was
not
just-
to worry.
interested.
So we didn't go swimming there because we were too late, but we carried on and we came to another little village that had got a salt lake.
A salt lake.
Salt
So is
lake.
that one of
The
those
ones
dead
you-
seas?
where it like
Yes,
desert,
like
so
that.
you
I've
float.
seen that in Tunisia with all the salt and things there. But,
Because nothing can live in that, can they?
not really, no.
No.
Sometimes you get some birds.
I'm not sure, because even in places that are really either acidic or alkaline, there are bacteria and things that can still survive. So
Yeah. Lot of
maybe the listeners can make
some
comments
some
and things like that.
places flamingos live.
But I know that when if you get like
yeah.
those deep sea volcanic vents
Yeah,
that are spewing out literally
they've got little
sulphur,
animal
but
things.
they have whole biospheres around them.
Yeah.
That live around the fact that the
Yes.
water is
Think-
hotter,
you wouldn't think anything would be alive.
but they
there.
can't go up into the colder
No.
water.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah.
So it's kind of like that's why they. I'm going to interject here about my space travel. That's what they're saying about that. Perhaps on some of the moons around Jupiter, where we can see volcanic venting happening, and where you have the crusts of the moons are ice, but you can see the volcanic venting out of the ice. That could mean that there's life.
Well, they think there could be ice on the moon that they might be able to melt.
there is
Yes,
trapped
we-
water, especially in the
Well, I shall have to see if
cro-
I ever get
the
there.
craters that permanently stay in shadow.
Imagine how much moon like water will cost in
Yeah.
years to come.
Oh, you mean people
Like, you know, like
send-
glacial water costs like thousands of pounds per
Oh,
glass.
well, for this really posh clear
The posh
water,
community,
they'll
yeah.
be sending back moon water.
Yeah.
With its restorative powers
Of
of
the moon.
healing. You know? Anyway, so sorry to interrupt. Went slightly off track there.
Yeah.
Back to the
well,
moon.
we went further along and we went to Ephesus.
Ephesus.
Ephesus?
Ephesus, which is
Where's
I think,
Ephesus?
well, it's still in Turkey. It's up the road going, up the Silk Road or whatever.
Okay.
The caravan trails.
Up the caravan trails, and that was all very nice. Lots and lots of people out there looking at all these ruins, but most of the ruins are quite ruined, to say the truth. But we went a little bit further along, and there was a place where we could stop and see the whirling dervishes.
Oh yes, now they're the gentlemen with the pom poms on their feet. Aren't they?
Sorry.
They've got pom poms on their feet.
Well, they're
I
dressed
don't
up.
know. I can't picture that.
You don't know, right? So they have kind of like curly shoes.
In Greece,
Is that the Greek ones?
yeah, they have like tutus they wear and a hat with
Yeah, well, I
bang.
thought Whirling Dervish had a big skirt.
Well, yes, they have got big
Yeah,
skirts.
so
and
what they do is they dance. They do this dervish dance.
Okay. Is this what you're doing now?
Not really enough room in this
To dervish
in,
dance.
in the studio. I mean, you have a big skirt on, and they spin on the spot, and their skirts fly out. So it sort of like turns into this big disc. as
What
a
are skirts made of?
Well, cloth.
cloth,
cloth,
but they
okay.
might put weights in the
I've
edges
no
to make
idea.
them go out. I don't know, but anyway, that's why
You-
it's
you
called a
don't-
whirling dervish.
You don't go and inspect their clothes and lift their skirts up. I mean, that's not on, is
It's
it?
not
It's very unsightly.
just not a done thing.
No, but that
So
was
that's why they're a whirling dervish.
that was
'cause
very
they whirl.
interesting.
Right.
Yes,
So you saw the whirling dervish.
Was that fun?
yes, it was.
It's basically like going and seeing a traditional dance of any
Yes.
culture.
Yeah, did a similar thing in New Zealand, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we've done New Zealand. Anyway, that was a different thing. And, well, I don't like heights. really,
Okay. I know you
Which
don't
is
like heights.
strange because I don't mind going in an aeroplane.
Well, generally when you're in an aeroplane, you don't really pay that much attention.
I can look
to
out the window. It
I
doesn't
don't think
bother
you
me.
really want to pay that much
No,
attention
that's
to the
no.
height.
being
No,
in this
but
little aluminium
any-
cigar tube full
there
of
was
very
on-
explosive fuel.
There was on offer going on a balloon trip.
Ooh, that would be nice. So
And
what
I thought-
was the topography like at this point? We're talking
Well,
sand?
We had to
We're
get
talking
up
mountains?
about 4 o'clock in the morning
Mhm.
and be driven down to this very big expanse.
Oh,
It was
what?
freezing cold of grassland or
Oh,
whatever.
it was grassy.
And they
okay.
gave there was a big bonfire, and we had to go to the toilet, of course, before we went off in the balloon.
Did they
which
have a
I
little
didn't.
shed?
I didn't get. No, it was a proper one. I didn't get locked in, and a hot drink and whatever. Then they had to blow and they
They
were
have to blow the balloon up.
blow the balloon. There are
Little
between
pump.
25 and 30
No, it's the
balloons
gas
there.
balloons.
Okay.
There were
Roaring away in with it.
about 25 or at least 30 balloons there.
Wow, that must have been a
all,
sight.
all different shapes.
It's literally daybreak, I assume.
Well, we left at 4 o'clock to get
Yeah.
down there, just as the sun was going to
Because
start
they normally
coming up.
lift off when the air's cool.
Yeah,
You know, in order to
That's
get the lift.
interesting.
Well, you need the hot air in the balloon to
Yeah.
be hotter than the air outside.
and
otherwise you're
guess,
gonna lift.
Yeah.
guess where we went? Have you seen Star Wars?
Well, yes.
Some of
Yes.
obviously.
Which one?
Cappadocia, when they went to this cafe and all these rock formations like caves and funny houses and whatever.
Ah.
Yes,
Yes.
it's all this strange
So
landscape.
Tatooine.
Yeah, is that what it was
You've
called?
flown over Tatooine in a
Yes.
balloon?
Yes.
Wow.
You
We
visited Tatooine.
We were up there for between 2 and 3 hours, I think. It was
Wow.
That's
ages.
really cool.
What was I mean, can you sort of describe
Well,
what you saw?
it's like fairyland, really. I mean, you've never actually people do still live in some of these caves, and you know, they go right into the hills and whatever.
How many people were in the balloon with you?
I think about 10. It was between 10 and 12.
So
but I
that's
think
been
it was
quite a
10.
large
Was this,
basket.
was, yeah, I was going to
it's
say, is
quite-
this a traditional wicker basket?
Yeah, it was a wicker, but I actually managed to get in it. I couldn't get out of it again. I had to be hauled out of it. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you? And now, when people go on balloon trips, you think of it being nice and silent, quiet. I mean, was it like that? It's sort of
Yeah,
just-
except for
yeah, the
going
gas
over your head.
every so often.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean the landing is nice. Sometimes I've seen people when they hit the floor and they get dragged over sideways. So what was
Oh
your
yes,
landing
when your
like?
dad went in one with your mother-in-law, yes, that ended almost in disaster years and years ago, didn't it?
But,
Didn't
well-
quite come down the way it should have done. No, we ended up on the back of a tractor on a low loader.
Well, they actually landed.
Wow, they
Yeah.
landed on a tractor.
Yes.
That is
Oh,
some
that's
precision.
skill.
It was
Still, like,
skills.
but
Go the Turkish
I
balloon
couldn't
pilot.
get out of it. I had to be pulled out of it. But,
Well, they actually landed on a flatbed trailer.
yes.
That's crazy. Hang
do you
on,
manage
does that
that?
mean the trailer must have been like moving?
Well, I think it was following us.
So it sort of had to get in front of you and then time it so you landed on the back of it.
I don't
That's
know what
crazy.
they did, but we actually did.
It's
land.
all safe. It's all safe. Don't worry.
Especially with like 10 people. Like,
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, they must have, like we followed the
Well
balloon when your
practiced.
dad was up in. So they must have been. They knew where we were going.
Landing?
One
No,
presume,
it's a crash.
and we just landed straight on top of it. No
Well
problem
done.
whatsoever. But it was absolutely wonderful seeing all these different.
so going back to the whole Star Wars thing,
Yeah.
was Star Wars actually out when you did this? Or was it after the fact?
I'm not sure. It could have been out.
Well,
but-
Star Wars came out in 1977.
Oh well, it must have been out then.
Right. So
yeah.
did they make a thing about that? Look, we're flying over Star Wars.
Well, I suppose that was a wonderful
Star
thing.
Wars land.
Star Wars
that
land.
was yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Look below, it's Star Wars land.
Seeing
It's a
it
Star
on Star
Wars.
Wars, you'd think it was made up,
Yeah.
and it's not. It's just.
Well, we won't talk about the special edition version.
Yeah. I want to ask you. I mean, you've been on your expedition, but what you haven't mentioned this to us so far is what was your experience of the food? Because we love to know about the food.
And you do like your food.
I do like my food, but food in the hotels seemed to be catering just mostly for English people, like English food. Nothing
Real
was,
English food.
No.
The horror.
Or is it like what they think English people
It-
like to
it
eat?
wasn't-
Like when I was
That's
in
always
America. There I was, off to America. Yay, I'm going to try some of these massive big American steaks. I'm going to
Yeah.
try piles of pancakes and all sorts of American
Yeah.
stuff. And it's like,
No.
no, we've brought you English muffins
Oh,
for breakfast.
Since when did
So
you ever eat English muffin?
muffin me now? It's like, why? I don't eat this stuff.
Steve muffin me.
Muffin
there
me.
was nothing,
Zak, muffin me.
you know.
That sounds weird. Don't say that.
Don't say that. No.
You know, like
So they just had
like
what, sausage and
aubergines
beans.
different. No, nothing
Just
exciting,
sausage.
and never did I ever get a hot meal.
Right, so it's
It
cold
was
English
all
food.
lukewarm.
Cold English food.
Lukewarm.
Fish and
Oh.
chips.
Even the chips weren't very
Have
Oh, that
hot.
chips.
That'd be funny
Yeah,
having
they had
fish in the
chips.
desert.
Fish in the desert.
Yeah.
No.
What's funny about that? Didn't Jesus feed the 5,000
Yeah.
with a loaf of bread and a fish?
We won't talk on the factual correctness of that.
No, we won't.
No, I mean I've been
It
to
was a
China
turbot.
and other places. In actual fact, in France.
What, you had a turbot?
No, I thought you said a TURD.
What?
Oh no! How did that make it into the podcast?
I said turbot.
Not.
No,
Dude.
I was reading.
Whoa! You've got a toilet humor on the mind.
I read a story yesterday about somebody who'd moved to this little village outside Nice, and she'd got her grandchildren with her, and she said, "What on earth is it you're eating, Gran?" And it's spinach and something else all chopped up and rolled up together
Where this is going.
and it's called.
It's called what?
Well, am I allowed to say
Yes,
this?
you can say it.
Dog shit.
Whoa! Whoa!
I wasn't
I didn't
expecting
expect that. Oh my goodness!
I thought you were going to say TURD.
Whoa,
No,
June!
evidently, it tastes very nice, because the grandchildren had a taste of it as well. But that's what I thought you said, not turbot.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so we're in the hotels eating cold English food.
Yeah, I did go to a cafe once, and I couldn't understand what on earth the rest of the menu was about. And,
Did you just point and guess?
Point go.
and then I could see spaghetti bolognese, and even that wasn't really hot.
All right.
But I didn't like the way that men sort of looked at you, because you hadn't got a burqa or a veil or
Cover
anything.
your eyes,
Maybe,
Buzz.
maybe they
yeah,
wanted to. Maybe
what-
they wanted to steal your shoes.
Oh, no, I don't.
They were coveting your shoes.
Our guide said he didn't make his wife wear a burqa or a veil, which
Right.
was something. Well, he was more modern thinking.
Okay.
But I didn't quite feel
Comfortable.
if you understand. I mean,
Well, you survived.
I've walked round Peru.
good
I've
start.
walked round various odd, strange places and not been bothered at all. But I didn't really feel.
You felt a bit out of place.
I felt yes.
Well, that's a shame. That's a shame.
So I stuck nearer to the guide. I thought, well, at least he's a man, because I say all the rest of them were in couples, and I didn't sort of, not that I'm dressing very flamboyantly or anything, but the men are looking at you because all the other ladies walking around have got veils on or whatever, and you're not.
Okay.
So I did feel a bit
English
uncomfortable.
tourists.
Yes, it's a tourist.
It's a
English
tourist. Yes.
I mean, you're bringing in the industry.
Yeah,
so
you are,
you're really
you are.
helping the
Yes.
local communities. So that's really good.
Yes.
Yes, it
Bringing
was.
in revenue.
I was all, I thought it was all very interesting, and seeing all these ruins and little churches with pictures. I bought some turquoise earrings. I found them out in the cupboard the other day. Yes, I've still got the receipt for them.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Is that what you're wearing now?
No, these aren't turquoise. No, there's something different.
Silly Zak.
Silly
You
Zak.
should know your gemstone.
No,
That's
you
it,
don't
by
know
now.
those.
But you still got your shoes though.
Yes, I've still got.
No, you didn't get them.
So were you in a single room sharing? Because sometimes on your trips you've had to share with
I've
strange
had
people.
singles.
Okay.
Not single.
Any memorable?
Oh, I had my
characters?
portrait done with well, I call them crayons, but it's like coloured chalk or whatever.
Are you talking pastels?
Yeah, pastels. Yes,
Pastels.
Not fruit pastel.
not fruit pastels. No, I have got my picture drawn. It looks a little bit flamboyant, but
Wow.
Oh, boy. Do you know, I don't think I've ever seen that portrait of
no,
you.
I shall have to show you. I've got it upstairs on the dressing table.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow,
we-
that'd
we
be
would
really
like to see
exciting.
that. So anyway, right. So how many weeks are you into your trip at this point?
Well, I'm nearly at the end of them, because it was a couple of days before I came home. I went up in the balloon, but we went and we were still going up what I call the M1,
We're
looking
talking
at
about the camel trail.
the camel trail, yes, and you're seeing little villages and stopping at different places and just having a look round at the local people, what they're doing and places, and just looking at as you would, at the countryside.
So
and
for
different-
anybody listening to this and considering going to Turkey, I mean, obviously we're talking a few years ago, but what were the hotels like themselves? You
Oh,
mentioned about the food, but
The hotels were all okay. I've had better ones,
Mhm.
especially in China, but no, they were all right. I was just disappointed with the food, because I have got a Turkish cookbook, and I was expecting that we were going to get served some of these.
yeah, I could see how that would be a bit disappointing if you travelled, let's say, all
Yeah.
the way
To experience the
to
culture, as
culture
they like
and
to
to
say.
try different
Most
foods
places-
that you wouldn't otherwise have.
No, well, I've done that in other countries, so I found that
And
they're
they say, guess what's for breakfast? Full
No,
English.
no.
Muffins.
Muffins. yes.
nothing exciting at all.
Muffins.
And I say,
Full English. And then it's served up and there's no black pudding.
Yeah.
This isn't a full English.
That's not a full English. That's a nothing.
That's
English.
another thing. There's no black pudding. What are you talking about?
oh,
That's a snack.
and I've seen different ladies and people coming down, and I've said to our guide, where are they from with these exotic clothes? Well, they've come down from Iran. They're just visitors.
Mhm.
Well, of course not nowadays. At the moment, all hell was breaking loose up there and round and about.
I mean, would you think that you could even go back to the kind of expedition that you went on?
They've
or-
cut it down to 12 days
Right, and it's
from 21,
I would imagine.
and gone up by about £3,000.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, I imagine going out, and I'm not trying to put anybody off Turkey, but I mean, Turkey is basically right opposite Crimea and
Yeah.
Ukraine and that whole area.
Well,
of the
yes,
world.
it's all up in.
Yeah.
But at the
I can see
moment,
how maybe a
most
lot of people probably don't want to necessarily
they're
travel
just-
on. Maybe go to somewhere where it's more holiday orientated with swimming pools,
Well,
and
they're
they're going
they-
to stay at a complex.
they're going to
but
stay
not,
at the seaside,
but not doing
They're not going
an
off-
expedition like
No.
you did, where you are literally
Looking
just
at the
Going
history.
into, yeah.
roughing it from hotel to hotel through these little villages up
Yeah.
the Silk Trail.
getting locked in the lavatory.
Getting locked in the lavatory.
Gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I don't want to do that again. That was rather embarrassing. But
What happens in Turkey
stays in Turkey. Yeah, no, I'm glad I went, and I'm certainly glad I went up in the balloon.
Well, it certainly sounds like it was one of your memorable
It
trips.
was one of my memorable ones.
Would you say that was your favourite part of this particular trip?
Yes,
The balloon.
The balloon.
I could imagine that would be quite hard to
Top.
beat.
I mean, I
Yeah.
hadn't had my operation on my hips by then, so I was a bit dodgy walking. But and there was a lot of walking to do. But you saw these little villages, selling little things or fruit or different. It was all very interesting. But as I say, I only went into one cafe on my own, and that was spaghetti bolognese. And how they managed to not have that hot, I don't know. But
So, on the upside, the balloon trip.
yes,
Overall, the holiday, great experience. Downside, food could have been better.
yes,
But otherwise, facilities,
Yeah.
fine.
yeah, that was okay.
Well, there we go. So that's Indiana Jones' adventure to Turkey.
Yes,
Wow.
perhaps next time I might tell you about taking my daughter to Japan.
Yeah, we would love to
Oh,
know all
Because
about
I
Japan.
had to go on a quest.
A
Yes,
quest,
we'll
an
save that.
adventure.
I won't
Save
say
that.
what for.
Save that.
I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would love to find out all about Japan. That's going to be really
Oh,
quite.
yes, that was just a short visit for 6 days. Stick together, sticky rice, hurry, hurry, sticky rice.
And this leads us on to our segment of
The Mystery Hat of Mystery.
Mystery Hat of Mystery.
Oh.
which
Pick
I
out
have,
the topic
which
for the next exclusive episode for our patrons and
which
YouTube
I
members.
have in my hand.
Yes.
And June, since you're our special guest this week, would you like to delve into the Mystery Hat of Mystery?
Oh.
There's not many left, so just
Not-
choose one of the slips in there.
Choose one of them.
And read the episode number out
The-
nice and clearly.
Okay, so this is the
So we can
episode
guess.
number.
He keeps escaping.
Right, we've got one. Okay, so what's the episode number?
Episode number 25.
Right, can you
Ooh,
remember what that was?
25. I mean, 21 was being boozled, so we've got that.
25.
ooh.
Escape room.
No, that was way earlier.
Okay.
That has got to be around Halloween, I reckon. So that could be either
Go on, time's running out.
werewolves,
Doo-doo,
werewolves or
doo-doo,
vampires.
doo-doo-doo-doo.
Vampires. I'm going for vampires.
What was it?
It says Halloween franchise.
Oh,
Halloween
so
franchise.
let's talk about the Halloween movies.
the Halloween movies. So that's what we're having a recap on.
Yeah.
Everything Halloween.
Yeah, I think they're actually talking about doing some more of those.
Superb. Now, before we go, I want to go right back to the beginning of this podcast because there was a little mention of a mosque, and I happened to just mention that there was some Viking inscription up on the gallery.
Right.
Do you remember? And
Yeah, I remember that.
I just want
Remember
to come back to that because it's a little factoid.
that. Factoid.
Factoid. It's actually a little bit of graffiti that is carved into the balcony
Yeah.
from two Vikings, one called Halvard and the other one called R, and it basically says, "We were here."
Oh.
And that it's fascinating, the fact that it has stayed there
Mm.
without being removed from this mosque. And the idea, and just think of it, they wouldn't have been the only Vikings there, but you would have had Vikings standing up in that gallery observing
Yeah.
what was going on in the mosque at
Never
that
really
time.
thought about that.
While they scratched their
Yeah.
is it Halvard or Halfdane or so? But they're scratching their names into the gallery while everything. But then you've got these whole Vikings, which means that if you then think more than that, outside the mosque, in the harbour, you probably had Viking longships.
You would have done
parked up in
because
it.
they
And
were.
I just find that fascinating.
They were at
Yeah.
Constantinople, weren't
yes.
they? They were the Royal Guard.
Royal Guards, exactly.
Yes.
So yeah, I just find that an absolutely fascinating.
They
little
got
factoid.
everywhere.
So I have a final question for you, June. Would you recommend going to Turkey to go on holiday for other people?
I think nowadays people would mostly just go to the seaside part of Turkey because
Package
there's
holiday style.
package holidays. I think there's quite a lot of unrest on the borders here at the moment.
Okay.
But yes,
But otherwise, package holidays to Turkey, well worth it.
Well, I'd say this was well over 10 years ago, and things have changed an awful lot.
But you'd recommend it.
I recommend it because I like travelling around and looking at.
And you
different
enjoyed the balloon?
Oh,
balloon
I did because I'm terrified of heights. But I was all right because people were all round me and I was in a basket.
There you go. June in the basket. Okay, well, thank you for coming into the studio once again, Indiana June. It's been an absolute pleasure.
If you could go on one of those tours, I think people would have enjoyed it. But I say, the price has gone up such a lot.
Yeah,
Well, everything
that's
has, but I
life.
say that's well over 10 years ago since I went there. But I did enjoy it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for coming to the studio. And
Sharing another one of your cracking adventures.
I think you've set yourself up. You're going to have to come in and tell us all about Japan next time.
Well, yes.
Okay, brilliant. So
Because I had a quest.
you had a quest.
Special.
We'll find out about the quest in the Japan episode. Okay.
Yes.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe to this channel and comment below any suggestions of topics or activities you'd like to listen to in future episodes. That's a big aeronautical goodbye from Zak.
It's a whirling dervish goodbye from Buzz.
And it's a...
Stuck in the toilet goodbye from June.
Yes.
Let me out!
Yes, yes. The old ladies is locked in the lavatory I didn't think was ever happening to me. But anyway, I got out safely. So cheers. Goodbye.
You can find the Now We Know Show podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Keep up to date with everything ZWP on Facebook and Instagram, or visit the Zak Wylde Productions website at www.zakwyldeproductions.com. And remember to join us on Patreon or become a YouTube member for early access content and exclusive episodes.